All right, welcome to our explainer. Today we are diving deep into cryptocurrency. It's a topic that's just full of hype and honestly a lot of confusion. But underneath all that noise is this really powerful idea. What if you could be your own bank? We're going to break down what that actually means, right from the very beginning.
So let's just start with that one huge question. Imagine a financial system where you don't have to ask anyone for permission. A world where the rules aren't set by some central authority, but by the people who actually use it. That is the core promise of crypto, and it is a truly massive idea.
And to really get our heads around this then, we've got a super clear roadmap. First, we'll look at the story of money itself. Then, we'll unpack the core tech behind it all, called the blockchain. After that, we'll compare the two big titans, Bitcoin and Ethereum, see what's being built beyond just digital cash, and wrap it all up with what it really means to be your own bank.
Okay, first up, the story of money. You see, to understand where we're going, you kind of have to know where we've been. Every single form of money that's ever existed has been an attempt to solve a problem.
Think about it. Our whole financial journey kicked off with bartering, which, let's be honest, was super inefficient, right? So we upgraded to commodities like salt or cattle. That was better, but pretty hard to carry around. Then came gold and silver, durable, easy to divide, and crucially, rare. That eventually led to fiat currency, paper money backed by government trust, which finally became the digital money we use today, really just numbers on a screen. Every step was a new piece of tech solving the problems of the last one.
And that brings us to the next massive leap. So let's talk about the engine that makes all of crypto run, the blockchain. And I want you to do me a favor. Forget about money for just a second. Because at its heart, blockchain isn't a currency. It's a totally revolutionary new way to record information.
The easiest way to think about a blockchain is to picture a shared digital notebook. But instead of one person holding it, everyone in the network has their own identical copy. So every time a transaction happens, a new entry gets made, and everybody's notebook gets updated at the exact same time. It sounds simple, but that little idea changes everything.
So, you might be wondering, what makes it so secure? Well, it really boils down to three key things. First, all the transactions are bundled into blocks, and then they're chained together using cryptography. If you try to change one block, you break the entire chain. Second, that notebook, the ledger, it's decentralized. It's copied across thousands of computers, so there's no single weak spot. And third, that powerful cryptography acts like a digital wax seal, making every single entry permanent and basically tamper-proof.
So the most important point is this. We've gone from a system where we have to trust one single entity, like a bank or a government, to a system where trust is spread out among everyone. No single person is in charge because, well, everyone is. That's decentralization. And that, right there, is the whole point. Okay, so now that we've got a handle on the tech, let's talk about its two most famous applications, Bitcoin and Ethereum. And these aren't just competing products. They really represent two totally different philosophies about what a blockchain can actually do.
First, you've got Bitcoin. It was created way back in 2009 by the super mysterious Satoshi Nakamoto, right in the wake of the financial crisis. It was built to be a peer-to-peer electronic cash system that just didn't need banks. And because there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin, a lot of people now see it as a store of value, kind of like a digital version of gold.
And then came Ethereum. Its creator, Vitalik Buterin, looked at Bitcoin and asked, what if a blockchain could do more than just keep track of money? So Ethereum was designed to be a world computer that can actually run code. And this is all possible because of its main innovation, smart contracts. Just think of them as agreements where the rules are written directly into code. They just run automatically. No lawyers, no middlemen, just pure code.
This really breaks it down. The main difference is just their purpose. Bitcoin's job is to be digital gold, a super reliable store of value. Ethereum's job is to be a world computer for building all sorts of apps using those smart contracts. This even changes how they're secured. Bitcoin uses something called proof of work, where miners solve these really complex puzzles. It's incredibly secure, but it uses a ton of energy. Ethereum, on the other hand, now uses proof of stake, where users lock up their own coins to help secure the network, which is way, way more efficient.
And because Ethereum is programmable, a whole ecosystem of new applications has just exploded into existence. And this, my friends, is where things get really creative and move way beyond just sending money back and forth.
The biggest area by far is decentralized finance, or DeFi for short.
The goal here is pretty simple, but it's also incredibly ambitious. To rebuild the entire financial system, we're talking lending, borrowing, trading on these open blockchains, completely without banks getting in the middle.
So here's a taste of how it works. In DeFi, you can put your crypto into what's called a liquidity pool and start earning interest. Or you can borrow from that very same pool by putting up some collateral. It is all handled automatically by smart contracts, connecting lenders and borrowers directly, with no bank taking a cut in the middle.
Next up, and I know you've heard of these, NFTs, or non-fungible tokens. Don't let the complicated name scare you. Non-fungible just means it's unique, that it can't be replaced by another one. You know, a dollar's fungible. Any dollar bill will do. But the Mona Lisa, that's non-fungible. There's only one. An NFT is basically just a digital certificate of ownership for a unique item that's recorded forever on the blockchain.
And here's why that's so important. For the very first time, NFTs give us a way to prove true, verifiable ownership of something that is purely digital. Whether that's a piece of art, a concert ticket, or a special sword in a video game, this is a total game changer for creators and collectors online.
So this whole idea of digital ownership brings us to what might be the most important part of this entire explainer. In this new world, there's a saying, be your own bank. And yeah, it's incredibly empowering, but it also means that you are responsible for your own security. So let's open up the owner's manual.
This is probably the single most critical concept you need to understand: who holds your keys. With a custodial wallet, like the kind you get on a big exchange, they hold the keys for you. It's convenient, just like a bank, but you're trusting them. With a non-custodial wallet, you hold your own keys. This gives you total control, but it also means you have total responsibility. It's really the difference between someone else guarding your safe and you holding the only key in your hand.
And with that responsibility comes some golden rules. Okay, first and foremost, your seed phrase, that list of 12 or 24 words, is the master key to all of your funds. Never, and I mean ever, share it with anyone or store it digitally. Write it down on a piece of paper and store it somewhere safe offline. For any large amounts, you're going to want to use a hardware wallet to keep your keys completely disconnected from the internet. And finally, just be skeptical of scams and please enable two-factor authentication on every single account you have.
Wow. We've gone from the dawn of bartering all the way to a global, decentralized world computer in just a few minutes. We've covered a ton of ground, but honestly, this is all just the beginning. This technology isn't some futuristic dream anymore. It's here, right now, and people are building on it every single day. So the final question really isn't if this is going to change things, but how are you going to engage with it?